I never believed a new apartment could ruin someone's life. But if I could go back in time, I would have stayed where I was. Even if the ceiling is leaking, or the neighbors screamed every night, or I had to sleep with earplugs for the rest of my life, that will be better for me than where I am now. My name is Daniel. I am 32 years old, and I regret moving into that apartment every single day of my life. I had lived in my old apartment for almost 6 years. It was small, too small. The walls were thin that I could hear everything. Arguments, crying babies, loud music at 3 a.m. The landlord never fixed anything unless I begged him for weeks. The bathroom ceiling had water stains from the apartment above. The kitchen sink clogged every month. But what really broke me was the noise. Every single night, the couple upstairs would fight. Loud, violent. Things would crash. Doors would slam. I called the police twice. Nothing changed. I stopped sleeping properly. I started showing up late to work. I was tired all the time. I told myself, I deserve better than this, but moving isn't cheap. The new apartment I wanted required 3 months' rent in advance plus a security deposit. It felt impossible. Still, I made a plan. For 11 months I saved every extra dollar. No eating out, no new clothes, no vacations, and no streaming subscriptions. I worked overtime whenever I could. I even started delivering food on weekends. I barely saw my friends anymore. But slowly, the money grew. And after almost a year of saving, I finally had enough. I remember holding the envelope with the deposit money. I felt proud of myself. I had no idea I was walking into something worse. The new apartment was quiet. That was the first thing I noticed. It was on the 3rd floor of a small building at the edge of town. The area was peaceful. No bars nearby, and no loud traffic. The landlord was an older man named Mr. Halpern. He seemed polite but distant. He kept the conversation short. Previous tenant left suddenly, he said while handing me the keys. I asked why. He said, family emergency. I didn't question it. People move all the time. The place was bigger than my old apartment. Clean. Fresh paint. Hardwood floors. Large bedroom window facing the parking lot. It felt like a new beginning. The first night was silent. I remember lying in bed and thinking how strange it felt not to hear shouting or footsteps above me. It almost made me uncomfortable. For the first time in years, I slept peacefully. The second night is when things started. I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. I don't know why I looked at the clock, I just did. I felt something, like someone was in the room with me. I listened carefully. Nothing, no footsteps, no voices, no doors closing. I told myself I was just adjusting to the new place. Then I heard it again. A soft tapping sound. It was coming from the living room. I held my breath. It sounded like fingernails gently tapping on wood. I got out of bed slowly. My heart was pounding. When I opened my bedroom door, the tapping stopped. The living room was empty. The windows were closed. No wind. I checked the front door locked. I stood there for a long time. Nothing happened. Eventually, I told myself it was just the building settling. Over the next week, the tapping returned. Always at 3:17 a.m. Always in the living room. One night, I decided to record it. I left my phone on the coffee table and went to bed. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up again. This time the tapping was louder. And there was something else. Breathing. I couldn't move. I was frozen. The breathing was coming from the hallway. Then I heard a whisper. "Why did you come here?" I jumped out of bed and turned on the light. There was nothing in the room. I ran into the living room. Empty. I grabbed my phone and played the recording. At first there was nothing. Then at 3:17 a.m., the tapping started. And then, the breathing. It was clear. But the whisper was even clearer, saying, "Why did you come here?" The voice did not sound human. It sounded dry, like someone who hadn't spoken in years. The next day I asked the neighbor across the hall if they knew anything about the previous tenant. She looked uncomfortable and said, "You didn't hear?" she asked. "Hear what?" I replied. A man was living there. One night we heard loud banging from his apartment, like furniture being thrown. then screaming. I felt my stomach twist. "What happened?" I asked again. "The police came. They found him dead in the living room." My chest tightened. "How?" I said. She shook her head. "They said it looked like he attacked himself, but the furniture was flipped over. Deep scratches on the walls. Like claw marks." I couldn't breathe properly after hearing that. "What time did it happen?" I asked one more time. She looked at me carefully. "Around 3 in the morning." I didn't tell her about the tapping. That night I didn't want to be alone. But I had no close friends nearby anymore, so I stayed. At 3:17 a.m., it started again. But this time, it wasn't tapping. It was scratching. Long, slow scratches along the walls, coming closer to my bedroom. I could hear it dragging across the wood floor. Then, something hit my bedroom door. I screamed. The door handle began to shake, violently, as if someone was trying to force their way in. "Why did you come here?" the voice whispered again. The door suddenly went silent. Then I heard footsteps inside my bedroom. I was standing near the door. There was no one else in the room, but I could feel something standing behind me, breathing on my neck. I couldn't turn around. Then I felt something sharp drag lightly across my back. I gasped and fell forward. When I turned around, the room was empty, but the closet door was open. It before sleeping. The next morning I checked my back in the mirror. 3 long red scratches, deep enough to bleed. I packed my bag immediately. I didn't care about losing the deposit, and I didn't care about the money I saved for 11 months. I went to Mr. Halpern and told him I was leaving. He didn't look surprised. "You lasted longer than most," he said quietly. My blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" He sighed. "You're the 4th tenant in 2 years. I stared at him. "Why didn't you tell me?" He looked away. That was the moment I felt real anger. I had worked for 11 months, sacrificed everything, destroyed friendships, exhausted myself. For this. I left that day. But here is the worst part. Even after I moved back to my old apartment, the couple upstairs still fought. The ceiling still leaked. But now, every night at 3:17 a.m. I wake up, and I hear tapping coming from inside my closet. I regret moving every single day, because whatever was in that apartment didn't want to be alone. I did not move because I wanted something better. I moved because I could not survive one more night in that place. For 5 years I lived in an apartment that slowly destroyed me. It was not haunted. Rather, it was not dangerous and suffocating. The hallway lights always went off every night. The building manager ignored repair requests. I had reported the broken heater 3 winters in a row. But the worst part was the memories. I had moved into that apartment with my fiancée. We were supposed to build our future there. Instead, that apartment became the place where everything fell apart. He cheated on me. Not once. Many times. And every fight, every scream, and every tears, those walls hurt it. When he finally left, he left me with the rent, the furniture, and the silence. I stayed because I could not afford to leave. The pay was barely enough. After bills and groceries, there was almost nothing left. But I could not stay there forever. Every corner of that apartment reminded me of him. The kitchen where we used to cook together. The couch where we planned our wedding. The bedroom where I learned he had been lying for months. I stopped inviting friends over. I stopped sleeping in the bedroom and started sleeping on the couch. After a year alone in that place, I decided I was done. The new apartment I found was in a quiet building across town. Clean, bright, peaceful. It required 2 months' rent deposit plus advance payment. It would take me 8 months to save. 8 months of saying no to everything. No new shoes, no coffee from my favorite cafe, no birthday gifts for friends, just apologies. I even sold my engagement ring. That was the hardest part. When I handed it to the jewelry buyer, I felt like I was finally cutting the last connection to my old life. After 8 long months, I had just enough. I remember sitting on my old couch, holding the envelope of money, whispering to myself, "This is your fresh start." I truly believed that. Apartment 4B felt different the moment I walked in. It was on the top floor of a 3-story building. No one above me. That was important. The windows were large, sunlight filled the living room. The walls were newly painted. The air smelled clean. The landlord, a woman named Mrs. Dalloway, was friendly but nervous. "You'll love the quiet here," she said quickly. I didn't think much about it. After the chaos of my old apartment, quiet sounded perfect. I moved in 2 weeks later. The first few nights were peaceful. No arguing, no crying, no painful memories. I slept in the bedroom again. For the first time in a year, I felt hopeful. But then, on the 5th night, I woke up to the sound of something moving above me. I sat up in bed, confused. Above me was the roof. There was no 4th floor. The sound was slow, like furniture being dragged. I turned on the light. Silence. I told myself it was probably pipes. Or wind. I went back to sleep. The next night, it happened again. Dragging, from directly above my bedroom. This time it lasted longer. Then I heard something else. A soft thud, as if something heavy fell to the floor. My heart started beating fast. There was no one above me. I was sure of it. The following day, I asked Mrs. Dalloway if there was any storage attic above my apartment. Her smile disappeared. "No," she said quickly. "Just the roof." "But I hear movement," I insisted. She paused and said, "Sounds travel strangely." She walked away before I could ask more. That night the noise was louder. Dragging. Thud. Then footsteps. Walking back and forth above my bed. I grabbed a broom and hit the ceiling 3 times. The footsteps stopped. Then something hit the ceiling back. 3 knocks. My blood turned cold. I did not sleep at all. Over the next week, things escalated. The dragging became nightly. The footsteps followed me from room to room. When I sat in the living room, I heard movement above the living room. When I went to the kitchen, it followed me. One night I recorded the sound. When I played it back the next morning, I heard something I had not noticed before. Whispering. It sounded like crying. A woman crying. I told myself I was imagining it. Stress can do strange things to the mind. Maybe I was not fully healed. But then came the night that changed everything. It was exactly 2 weeks after I moved in. I woke up at 2:46 a.m. The room felt heavy. I could barely breathe. The dragging noise started again, but this time it was directly above my face. Then the ceiling made a cracking sound. Dust fell onto my bed. I froze. Another crack came. A thin line appeared in the ceiling paint. Then I saw it. Something dark pushing against the ceiling from above, pressing downward, like hands. 2 hand shapes, pressing hard against the ceiling, stretching the paint. I couldn't scream. The hands slowly moved, as if feeling for something. Then the whisper came, not from above, from inside my bedroom. "Help me." I turned my head slowly. My closet door was open. I always closed it before sleeping. Darkness. I saw a shape. A woman. Standing still, her head tilted, her hair hanging forward. Her voice was weak, saying, "Help me." I jumped out of bed and turned on the light. The closet was empty. The ceiling was normal. No cracks. No dust. I started crying. I thought I was losing my mind. The next morning, I went to the neighbor downstairs, an older man. I asked him carefully if anything had happened in apartment 4B before I moved in. He looked at me for a long time. Then he said quietly, "You didn't hear?" My stomach dropped. "Hear what?" "A woman lived there 3 years ago, alone, after her divorce." My chest tightened. "What happened to her?" I asked again. He lowered his voice this time and said, "She was found dead in her bedroom." My hands started shaking. "How?" I asked one more time. They said suicide, but there were strange marks on the ceiling and scratch marks inside her closet. I couldn't breathe. She kept telling people someone was asking for help. I moved out that same week. I did not wait for the lease to end. I did not care about losing my deposit. I just wanted out. But here's what still haunts me. Even now, in my new apartment, a completely different building, sometimes I wake up at 2:46 a.m. and I hear dragging. not above me, inside my room. Sometimes I wake up and my closet door is open. I saw dust falling from my ceiling. I regret moving into that apartment, because I believe something was already there, and I thought moving would fix my pain. Instead, I brought something back with me, and every night, when I close my eyes, I still hear her voice saying, "Help me."